we are not satisfied with the level of response that we have got so far, not least because the legitimate government that I belong to doesn't have any set of control over Western Libya, from which, unfortunately, these irregular movements have been flocking into Europe.
So essentially what you're saying is that there will be no solution to this problem until Libya is united and those groups which are operating in the other half of the country are brought within the same power structure as yourself?
I think this poses a new challenge to all of us, to the international community, but to Libyans too. And we all have to stand up to the challenge that we are faced with. Indeed, the government of national unity has been a priority for Libyans, but for the international community too. Therefore, we need to double our efforts to make sure that this prospect materializes next month, because time is of essence, and we need to get things right before the end of the tenure of the House of Representatives that is looming on the horizon.
We'll move on to the Government of National Accord, the prospect of one, in a moment. But, I mean, as things stand, you have spoken a number of times about various foreign powers who have had a direct influence in Libya over the years since 2011. It's not simply the West, it's not simply the European Union and the United States. There are others who are perhaps exacerbating the situation there.
I must say that we have had difficult times with some regional powers that have exacerbated, as you said rightly, the situation in Libya. One must say, however, that for the last few months, the international community, including the regional powers, have come round, and there is an international consensus which has been built up to support the national accord prospect and the national accord government.
Was part of the problem not the fact that the National Transitional Council, when set up in 2011, was very resistant to the international community, particularly the West, becoming involved? I mean, had that happened at that point, would we be in the situation that we are right now?
I think there was that factor, but on the other hand, I think the international community felt that it had to leave Libya on its own, Libyan affairs being held by Libyans themselves. However, the regional powers came to fill the vacuum, and it hasn't been to the great satisfaction of Libyans and of the international community, which is witnessing the chaotic situation that we unfortunately are in.
Can I be very direct then and ask very simply what indeed the Libyan government is doing to try and combat the flow of migrants from your part of North Africa to Europe? Leo Dobbs from the UNHCR says that around about 4,500 migrants were rescued from the Mediterranean by the Libyan government. That compared to 100,000 rescued from the Med by other powers. I mean, that gives you an idea of the share of the responsibility that you're currently burdening.
I think the de facto authorities are waking up to the reality that they have to do something to curb these movements and to alleviate the burden of the migrants themselves and the international community, especially Europeans, that have been grappling with this very sticky issue for the last 1 year.
So what do you want from the West, the European Union, the United Kingdom, the United States? Very specifically, what are you asking for?
We are asking for putting the needed efforts to make sure that a government of national accord takes place in Libya before the end of September.
How can the West engineer that, given that for so long the Libyan people have been very vociferous about wanting to sort out their affairs by themselves?
We have got an agreement initialed last month in Morocco, and we have only some annexes to be discussed. So we are at a very later stage of this process. However, time is of essence, and we should not get this process prolonged through the end of the year, for instance. I think that would be counterproductive and very peculiar to the success of the process itself.
People tend to forget that in international terms, Libya is still a very young country. They first called that in 1934. I believe Gaddafi only took power in '69. I mean, how confident are you moving forward that the Libyan people will ultimately be able to arrive at a peaceful settlement amongst themselves and with their regional partners?
We are confident that there is no military solution to the Libya crisis. The only solution is to seek a political settlement between us Libyans. Indeed, it has been difficult for the last 1 year, but I must say that we are grateful to the involvement of the international community, including some Arab actors who have been very helpful in steering that process and moving it forward.
Minister, thanks for your time.